All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive on Mark Cuban,
Oh, cool.
but not just the Shark Tank billionaire Mark Cuban we all see on TV now.
Right, right.
We're going to go way back
Okay.
and look at his path from childhood hustles to tech mogul to, of course, owning the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, and I think what makes this deep dive so interesting is our source material.
Yeah.
This isn't like, a polished biography or a PR interview.
Yeah.
This is actually Mark Cuban in conversation with Chris Paul
Oh, wow. Okay.
on Paul's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a real sense of their rapport.
That's awesome.
And like Cuban is super candid in this.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't do a lot of interviews where he can just be himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very different side of him that you see here.
So what's the theme that we see popping up in this conversation with Cuban?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, and Cuban actually says this a few times in the interview.
Okay.
He says, it's not about convincing people they need something. It's about understanding what they need and finding a way to provide it.
Oh, that's good.
And we're going to see that play out throughout his whole career.
I like that a lot.
It's a real masterclass
Yeah.
in identifying and fulfilling needs,
Mhm.
whether it's, garbage bags or billion-dollar tech platforms.
All right, so let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's go back to young Mark in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Even his early side hustles
Mm-hmm.
kind of reveal something key about his approach to business.
Yeah. It's fascinating how he talks about his parents.
Right.
They really emphasized education, even though they themselves
Mm-hmm.
didn't have college degrees.
Right.
But they instilled in him this idea that he could find his own path.
Okay.
And he found it early on, like selling baseball cards.
Oh, wow.
He understood supply and demand before most kids
Wow.
even know what those words mean.
So true.
But the story that really stands out, and it's classic Cuban,
Yeah.
is the garbage bag story.
Oh, yeah.
So he's 12 years old.
Okay.
His dad's poker buddy offers him a job selling garbage bags door to door.
Wow.
And Cuban doesn't even hesitate.
He's 12 years old.
12 years old.
And he's like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and what's interesting is even at 12,
Okay.
he's not just selling, he's solving a problem.
Right.
Reliable trash disposal,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah.
Like back then, garbage bags weren't necessarily like a staple.
You just throw it out in the can.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's identifying that need before he even has the product.
Interesting.
So it really foreshadows his approach to everything.
Understand the need before the product.
Exactly.
Not-
And $3 a box he was buying them for, and he's selling them for $6.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, the kid's got a knack for profit margins.
Yeah, he's 12 years old.
I mean, come on.
And he's already figuring all this out.
But it's more than that.
Okay, what is it?
Cuban actually says that experience shaped his business philosophy.
Interesting.
It's all about understanding what people need and finding a way to provide it better than anyone else.
So it's problem solving, but with a profit motive.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And, that theme of identifying and fulfilling needs,
Right.
it runs through everything he does,
Mm-hmm.
from software to basketball to those Shark Tank deals.
That's really cool.
And, it makes you think about those formative moments
Yeah.
in your own life, right?
Totally.
Like, what were you hustling for as a kid?
Yeah.
What were those lessons that you learned early on
Right.
that still shape you today?
Exactly.
Because that's what makes this deep dive so valuable for you.
Yeah.
It's not just about Cuban's success, but the mindset and strategies that got him there.
And the mistakes along the way, too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Which we'll see a lot of.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got the hustler kid,
Mhm.
but then he goes to Indiana University for business.
Right.
His college years seem a little less glamorous from what I read.
Yeah, a lot more scraping by.
Yeah.
He was constantly hustling to pay his way, doing everything from chain letters
Oh, wow.
to running a bar
Okay.
until it got busted for letting underage friends in.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So resourceful.
Yeah.
Maybe a little rebellious.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely entrepreneurial.
Definitely entrepreneurial.
But then he moves to Dallas.
Yeah, he lands in Dallas,
Okay.
early 90s,
Okay.
sharing an apartment with 5 other guys,
Oh, wow.
sleeping wherever there was space.
Not exactly the image of a future billionaire.
Not exactly, no.
But this is where it starts to get really interesting, right?
Yeah.
He gets a job in the computer industry,
Hmm.
and that's when his passion for tech really ignites.
Yeah, the internet was just starting to boom.
Right.
And Cuban was right in the thick of it.
He was in the right place at the right time, but he also had the vision to see what was coming.
Absolutely.
And then he has that classic aha moment.
Yeah, what was it?
He wants to listen to Indiana basketball games
Okay.
from Dallas.
Right.
And there's no easy way to do it. Oh, so he runs into a problem that he needs to solve.
Exactly.
I love it.
So being Mark Cuban, he builds the solution himself.
Classic.
Enter AudioNet,
Okay.
which basically becomes broadcast.com.
Right.
And you could say it was like YouTube before YouTube even existed.
Yeah, basically.
So they're pioneers in online content.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing internet radio, streaming video, even Michael Jordan mixtapes online.
Wow, that's amazing.
Cuban and his partner Todd Wagner,
Right.
they were way ahead of the curve.
They were ahead of their time, for sure.
And then what happens?
Well, they go public with broadcast.com.
Okay.
And it becomes the biggest first-day IPO in history.
At that time.
At that time, yes.
Right.
So for those who maybe aren't familiar with what an IPO is,
Yeah.
basically it's when a private company goes public
Mm-hmm.
and they sell stock for the first time.
Right.
So it's a huge influx of cash.
Okay, so they're killing it.
They're doing really well.
Okay.
And then Yahoo comes knocking.
Oh, wow. Yeah. $5.7 billion in Yahoo stock.
Wow.
Life-changing money, even for someone who had already made a fortune.
Okay, but wait, there's more to the story though, right?
There is.
There is.
This is where Cuban's business savvy really shows.
Okay.
He hedged his bets,
Oh, wow.
protected himself when the dot-com bubble burst.
But wasn't that a risky move?
A lot of people thought so.
Right.
And they ended up losing everything when the market crashed.
Yeah.
But Cuban, he had the foresight to protect his wealth.
So he saw it coming.
Well, he knew it was a gamble,
Right.
and he took steps to mitigate the risk.
That's smart.
Yeah, really smart.
So now he's got this incredible fortune.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does someone like Cuban do next?
Yeah, what do you do when you have all that money?
Retire to a beach?
Well, not exactly.
Okay, what is it?
He buys a struggling basketball team.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so we got to take a break here.
Right.
We're going to come back and talk about Cuban, the NBA owner, next. So we left off with Cuban tech millionaire decides to buy an NBA team.
Right.
Like, that doesn't exactly scream safe investment, you know?
You'd think he'd go buy like an island or something.
Right, exactly.
But, it might seem impulsive.
Yeah,
But remember, Cuban is always looking for opportunities,
right.
for needs to fulfill.
Okay.
And he saw a big one with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, they were struggling at that time.
Oh, for sure.
He talks about going to an opening night game
Okay.
in the 1999-2000 season, I think it was, and being shocked at how empty the arena was.
Wow.
Like, he couldn't believe it, and his thought was,
What was it?
I can do better than this.
Classic Cuban.
Yeah.
Always thinking he can do it better.
But it wasn't just about winning games.
No, it was bigger than that.
Yeah.
It was about creating a better experience for the fans,
Right.
building a community around the team.
So he connects with his ticket rep,
Okay.
who gets him in touch with someone working for Ross Perot Jr., who
Okay.
owned the Mavericks at the time. Mm-hmm.
And 6 weeks later, Cuban's the owner.
6 weeks.
I know.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
Talk about moving quickly.
Yeah, classic Cuban, seeing an opportunity
Yeah.
and seizing it.
No hesitation.
He's not afraid to take risks.
But they're calculated risks.
Right.
Backed by, his understanding of business and
Yeah.
how to build success.
And this is where Chris Paul in the podcast jumps in with a great anecdote.
Oh, yeah. What's he say?
He was a huge Dirk Nowitzki fan back then.
Oh, cool.
And he remembers how different Cuban was from the stereotypical NBA owner.
Right, like the old guy in a suit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cuban was this young tech guy sitting courtside with the fans,
Oh, wow.
wearing jeans and a T-shirt.
So not your typical owner.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He was a fan first.
Right.
And that really resonated with people.
Totally.
It really challenged the image of that, stuffy, out-of-touch team owner.
Yeah.
But Cuban also said something really interesting
What's that?
about his role as owner.
He says he doesn't own the team.
Wait, what?
He says he just handles the finances.
Oh, interesting.
He says the real owners are the fans.
Wow, I like that.
It's a really smart way of framing it, right?
Totally.
It's like recognizing that shared passion
Yeah.
that drives sports fandom.
And it's a brilliant business move, too.
Yeah, how so?
By connecting with the fans on that level,
Right?
he builds loyalty and community around the
Yeah.
Mavericks.
Really smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Cuban, the tech mogul,
Mm-hmm.
Cuban, the NBA owner,
Right?
and then comes Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
But you said he was initially skeptical about the show.
I know. It's hard to believe, right?
Yeah,
He seems so into it now.
I know. He's like the face of Shark Tank.
He thought it might be kind of a publicity stunt,
Really?
a chance to have some fun on TV.
So what changed his mind?
It was the impact he saw it having,
Okay.
especially on families and kids.
Interesting.
It became this platform to educate people about business
Okay.
and entrepreneurship. And he saw that and he was like, wow,
Yeah.
this could inspire a whole new generation of entrepreneurs.
That's really cool.
And his advice to those aspiring business owners,
Yeah.
know your business, be the best, and always work like someone is trying to catch up to you.
I like that.
That's classic Cuban.
Yeah.
Always thinking about the competition.
So he goes from being skeptical to being one of the most recognizable faces on the show, investing in all sorts of businesses.
Yeah, he's made some pretty interesting investments.
But what about his approach to investing?
Yeah, is he as hands-on as he seems on Shark Tank?
Right.
Well, he actually prefers to invest directly in companies
Okay.
rather than through a fund.
Why is that?
It allows him to be more involved,
Okay.
to mentor and guide the businesses that he believes in.
So he's not just writing checks.
No, he's actively helping them succeed.
It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy,
Definitely.
but it seems to be working for him.
It does.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something that's been making headlines lately.
Okay.
Crypto and NFTs.
Oh, yeah.
Cuban's been pretty vocal about his belief in blockchain technology,
He has.
but he has a very specific perspective on it, right?
Yeah, he's not caught up in the hype
Okay.
around cryptocurrency prices.
Right.
He sees that as noise.
Interesting.
The real value for Cuban is the underlying technology
Okay.
and its potential to disrupt industries.
So he's not just buying Bitcoin and hoping it goes up.
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's interested in the practical applications of blockchain, how it can change the way we do business.
Okay.
And he often uses NFTs as an example,
Okay.
specifically the concept of programmable royalties.
Okay. Break that down for me.
Okay, so imagine you're an artist
Uh-huh.
and you create an NFT of your work.
Right.
You can code into that NFT a royalty rate.
Okay.
So every time that digital asset is resold, you automatically get a cut.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you're essentially getting paid every time your work changes hands, even if it's years down the line.
That's pretty amazing.
It's a completely new way of thinking about ownership and revenue streams.
Yeah.
And Cuban sees that as just the tip of the iceberg
Okay.
for how blockchain can disrupt traditional models.
He's not just talking about the art world, though, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He sees this technology having implications across industries.
What are some examples?
Well, he even connects it back to basketball,
Interesting.
pointing out how data and technology have transformed the game
Okay.
from advanced analytics to player tracking.
Right.
It's all about using technology to gain a competitive edge.
So what's the takeaway here for our listeners?
The Cuban challenge.
Yes, the Cuban challenge.
It's simple. Don't get distracted by the shiny object.
Okay.
Look deeper. See the potential of the technology itself,
Right.
and then figure out how you could apply it to your own field.
I like it.
So what problems can you solve with blockchain? What opportunities exist that this technology could unlock?
It's a great prompt to think about. Yeah.
How seemingly unrelated fields can intersect and spark innovation.
For sure.
And it speaks to Cuban's core belief
Okay.
in constant learning and adaptation.
Right.
Okay, so we've seen the businessman, the investor, the tech enthusiast.
Right.
But what about Mark Cuban, the dad?
Oh, yeah.
This is where we see a different side of him, right?
Definitely.
Chris Paul mentioned seeing Cuban's TikTok videos with his daughter. And he was struck by Cuban's genuine happiness in those moments.
Yeah, you can tell it's a side of him that he really cherishes.
He even admits that fatherhood wasn't something he fully grasped at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And now he says his kids are the joy of his life. Is
Oh,
everything.
I love
He
that.
talks about how much he values those relationships.
Oh.
He even says that the word dad is the most precious word in the dictionary.
Oh, wow.
But there's a vulnerability here too.
What do you mean?
He talks about the challenges of raising kids who haven't had to struggle in the same way he did.
Oh, right. He worries about them becoming entitled
Right.
and not understanding the value of hard work.
Yeah, that's a real concern.
It's something a lot of successful parents can relate to, right?
Totally.
How do you instill that same work ethic and drive in your children when their starting point is so different?
Tough question.
Yeah.
No easy answers.
Yeah. It's a tough one, for sure.
Makes you think.
It does. It's a good problem to have,
Right.
but still a problem.
Yeah,
It really humanizes him, though.
it does.
Reminds us that even billionaires
Uh.
have the same worries
Yeah.
and anxieties as the rest of us.
Exactly. They're just on a different scale
Exactly. They just happen to own an NBA team.
and have a lot more zeros in their bank account.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
You have.
What are the key takeaways from this deep dive into Mark Cuban's journey?
Okay.
If we had to distill it down to a few core lessons, what would those be?
Well, the first one is pretty clear.
Okay.
Cuban's been hustling since he was a kid.
Right.
It wasn't just about making money. It was about problem solving, learning, getting that deal-making experience early on.
Right. Building those skills.
Exactly.
And that leads right into the second point.
What's that?
He's always on the lookout for opportunities.
Yeah, he's always looking ahead.
Whether it's the rise of the internet
Right.
or the emergence of blockchain, he's constantly scanning the landscape, ready to jump in and experiment.
Totally, and not afraid to fail.
Right, exactly.
Which is important.
But he's not just blindly taking risks, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
He calculates, he does his research, and he surrounds himself with people who can help him succeed.
Smart.
And when he does take a risk, he knows how to mitigate it.
Right, like that .com bubble story.
Exactly.
Hedging his bets, protecting his wealth.
It's not just about being bold, it's about being smart about it.
Exactly.
Calculated risks.
Okay. And the final takeaway is that he's constantly adapting from software to sports to entertainment to investing.
He's done it all.
He's never stopped learning and evolving.
Always growing.
He's not afraid to step outside his comfort zone, try new things, and that's what keeps him ahead of the curve.
So true.
So before we wrap up, let's bring it back to our listener.
Okay.
What's the Cuban challenge here?
Yeah, what can you take away from this deep dive
Right.
and apply to your own life?
Exactly.
All right, so if you had Mark Cuban's resources and that entrepreneurial spirit, what problem would you solve?
Oh, that's a good one.
What opportunity would you seize?
Yeah.
Maybe you start a business,
Right.
invest in a groundbreaking technology, or even, who knows, buy a sports team.
That's a big one.
You never know.
What need are you going to fulfill?
What's your garbage bag moment going to be?
I love that.
You know, this deep dive has hopefully shown you
Yeah.
that it's not just about having a great idea.
Right.
It's about understanding the need behind it, being willing to hustle, take calculated risks, and never stop adapting.
Love it. Great advice.
Thanks.
So get out there, find your opportunity.
The world is full of problems waiting to be solved.
That's the truth.
And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next Mark Cuban.
And that's our deep dive on Mark Cuban.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening.